we've got like the NFL Network on here and still seeing these clips from the Combine. And, of course, we're wondering what the Commanders will do at number 2. And there are all kinds of rumors, but we wanted to revisit something that we've talked about briefly. But over the weekend, our pal Ben Standig tweeted out, the idea of Kirk Cousins returning to play for Washington isn't some inconceivable fever dream. In conjunction with the trade down from 2, signing the quarterback puts the Commanders on a simultaneous path to rebuild, boost vibes, and win now.
Inconceivable!
I put it up as the Junkies poll of the day presented by Scotty's Vodka. Maryland made, super smooth, loved throughout the DMV. How would that make you feel if they traded down so they don't draft a quarterback at number 2 and you take Kirk Cousins via free agency? Would you be excited or disappointed? Cakes, what's your read on the fans? What's the percentage right now? It's only been up for a couple minutes.
Well, let me just say this.
I know you would be excited.
A lot of Commanders fans are ingrates when it comes to Kirk Cousins. They didn't know how good they had it with Kirk Cousins. And a lot of them will counter that with, there's a lot of empty calorie yardage. He was a stat padding type of quarterback. Never won a big game. He was the best quarterback they've had here in the last 30 years. And I don't even think it's particularly close outside of the one, comet across the sky year from RG3 until he got hurt. I'm going to guess they're more disappointed than excited because I think they want the shiny new toy.
I think that's what it is.
Instead of Kirk Cousins.
I would guess, no idea what the results are, but I would think that Commanders fans don't want that stopgap move. They want a building block, with the entire.
You just don't get that many swings this early.
Yeah, and I just think, obviously with Kirk's injury, and you're going to have to spend a boatload. What do you sign him to 2 years and $90 million, $100 million? I don't know.
No, I need him 3 years.
I don't even know what it'd be.
3 years.
I need 3 years.
I'd give him
125, 140.
Yeah, $125 million with a lot of it guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's going to balk at it not being guaranteed.
I'm just not sure Commanders fans want to do that and spend the majority of your free agent money on the quarterback.
Everybody.
So
wants
what was
to
your
get
guess, percentage-wise?
My guess would be 37% want Cousins.
I'd say
pretty
lower.
Close. 38% excited,
Wow.
62% disappointed.
Do
But it's
I know
only been
our
up for a
fans?
couple minutes. You can vote at Junks Radio on Twitter, 800-636-1067. Given the fact, and we talked about it today, that they don't have many guys on the roster right now to even fill out the depth chart. The depth chart has like empty spots because they cut Logan Thomas or they're waiving him, whatever the process. Logan Thomas isn't going to be here. Charles Leno's not going to be here. Nick Gates not going to be there. Not that these were great players, but these were starters, contributors.
Got a lot of holes, yeah.
And we know that they need edge rushers. We know they need linebackers. They need help
Defensive
everywhere.
backs.
One can make an argument you'd be better served trading down to get even more picks. And if you trade down, maybe with all this salary cap space, you make a move for Kirk Cousins. Would that be something you're interested in? 800-636-1067. I do think that Standig is correct, that if you brought in Kirk Cousins and you fill out the roster around him, you're going to win more games. So you can rebuild while you're trying to win some games.
He's more of a sure thing.
Yeah. What I like about it is a sure thing.
I like certainty.
You don't worry about the quarterback position really for 3 years.
Because if I bring in Kirk Cousins,
I like about it.
I'm gonna pencil him in. He's gonna start every game, aside from if he blows his Achilles out, which did happen. He's gonna throw between 33 and 36 touchdowns, and he's gonna.
That's aggressive.
I don't think it's that aggressive if he plays 17 games.
Look at his numbers.
His past numbers. I don't think he's the guy.
But you do have to spend a lot of money on him.
You have to spend a lot of money. And the problem
And when
is,
you've got all these holes on the roster, do you really want to pluck down the majority of your cap on one guy?
Well, the problem
if it's a quarterback, then I probably am not.
That's the one guy you
hesitate about it.
That's the one guy you would. But the problem is it 3 years from now, then what? And this crew is brand new. They're not planning on just being here for 2 or 3 years. They want to have a run. And like, when are you going to get that next guy? You're just going to keep swinging at second and third rounders until you hit one that you can groom? It's so hard to do that.
And maybe that's your Penix play. If according to the Athletic, they have him projected as a second rounder.
I just saw the USA Today had 6 quarterbacks going to top 16.
Yeah.
And their mock.
I know
Now, of
there are
course,
a lot-
That's just
everyone's
one
got
guy.
a mock, and it doesn't mean anything.
It's one guy.
But it's just interesting. They got 6 going.
Would you prefer Kirk over Justin Fields?
Yes.
He's more of a sure
Personally,
thing.
yes.
It's more of a sure thing. Fan base would probably go for more Justin Fields just because of youth. You feel like, man, that's an interesting thing. What if I took Justin Fields, a big offensive, big ugly, and Brock Bowers? Well, I would be excited. I think I would be excited because then you got a young quarterback who's got all the ability. You just got to try to figure it out. And then, Brock Bowers looks like he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
If I have a guarantee that Cliff Kingsbury can improve Justin Fields' passing, I don't hate the plan. But if Justin Fields' passing doesn't catch up with his running or get semi-close to it, I'm going to have a problem with this.
Maybe I
development
like him.
going
Maybe I
forward.
like him more just because
It's a lot younger.
I have a lot longer runway with him.
If it works out.
Well, you got to sign him to a big
The only
contract.
thing about Justin Fields,
Do I have to right away?
people don't want to talk
No,
about
but he'll
wins
be
and
in the last year of his
losses.
deal.
Yeah, so I play him for a year.
People don't want to talk about wins and
Get you.
losses, but
So-
it's hard for me to look at him with the Bears and see all those losses and not put a lot of that on him. And then I've
saw
seen
games
some
where he was
statistics.
awful. I saw
I've
games
seen-
where he was awful.
I've seen
Yes.
some statistics
Especially in the fourth quarter.
where okay, he's a better runner, but some of his numbers compared to Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson just gets mocked. I saw something that Warren Sharp put out where he listed all these guys, and it was one of these analytics, which I don't completely understand, the EPA. But Justin Fields was like a minus, and like basically all the guys who were minus, who have been in the league for 3 years, they're duds. They don't turn it around. Kind of what Warren Sharp wrote, which is I've always kind of felt this way. He said basically, after 2 seasons. He's like, based on like the statistics he had, and Justin Fields wasn't in the favorable part.
Yeah, and you can't argue with that.
I'm kind of anti-Kirk.
But then you saw him play against the Commanders and went, whoa.
Well, he was facing maybe the worst
That's
defense.
why-
we've
Understood,
all-
but some of those balls he was throwing
Sure.
were just miraculous.
Yeah, but everybody has games like that.
I
Like,
know. He was
Browning
in-
had great games.
he was in a
Sam
zone.
Howell had a bunch of great games.
He was in a
You
zone.
have to look at the overall body of work.
I get it.
No,
but
but that's
somebody's
why
going
I-
to take a chance on him.
That's why I'm a little bit partial to Daniel Jones, because I've seen Daniel Jones kill us multiple times over several different years.
He was,
Now,
though, in the negative category, I think, from Warren
I
Sharp's
understand,
analysis.
and he didn't play as well against other teams, but against us, he owned us many times.
I don't think Kirk's coming here. I think that
I don't think
most
I don't think he is
likely he's
either.
going to wind up either back in Minnesota or maybe in Atlanta. Like those seem like the most logical spots for him to land.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you could do worse than a guy who's going to pass. He's a lock to pass for more than 4,000 yards. He's going to give you basically 30 touchdowns if he stays healthy and plays 17 games.
Yeah, it's just a matter
which
of
he did every year up until this past
does
season.
Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and Josh Harris, do they want a building block and start from scratch and try and create that franchise quarterback, or
Right.
go out and pluck
All right, what do you got?
a guy in his 30s
You have another
who's coming
plan?
off
I
an
have
injury?
another scenario. We're just spitballing here, right? This means nothing. But if San Fran is enamored with Kirk, and then Purdy becomes available,
Why is that going to happen?
what?
Why is that going to happen?
You haven't read that?
No,
No.
Purdy's under contract.
Well,
You'd
they
have
just
to
don't
trade
need
for him.
him. You
You'd
trade for him.
Well, he'd
It's not going to be free.
They're not going to do that.
They're going to keep him.
That was
They-
before Purdy, I thought. They wanted Kirk.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
No, I read again this weekend.
Why would they do that? They got a cheap quarterback for $1.
I agree, but some people like JP thinks that in Lurch that he's not very good, and that Kirk.
I didn't say
they
he's not
still
very
are
good.
Enamored with Kirk. Kyle is still enamored with Kirk. And Kirk's available.
I believe that Kyle is enamored with Kirk.
Yes.
Like if you gave him truth serum
That's all
and
I do.
actually infused a personality into him.
Listen,
Where'd you see it? I didn't see
that.
I personally wouldn't like that because I'm team Brock Purdy. I'm team underdog.
I'm team Kirk.
I like Brock
Clearly.
Purdy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not saying he's no good. I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle and John Lynch go, all right, we're still a quarterback away from
Right.
winning a Super Bowl.
See, I think
Even
you
though
can
he
win
got
one
you
with-
there.
I think you can win one with him. So that's why I would hate to see them.
Well, that's
move
why
on from him.
they're not going to go out and get Kirk.
Eric, what about bringing in Minshew?
That's too stopgappy. Minshew, I like Minshew, and I lobbied for it 2-3 years ago. Back padding machine. Go to the tape.
Drink spilling machine.
Hey, I don't think Minshew is a bad option because think about it.
Minshew is Hal. I think
But-
Hal could be Minshew.
But think about it. Ron Rivera has just decimated this team so much.
he was so bad.
And if you draft a quarterback at 2, it might be the Panthers 2.0, where the roster is so bad, you can't give a Bryce Young type any help. And you got to build the roster. You can do that with Minshew as a stopgap quarterback. And now you can thread the needle with your quarterback who's under a rookie contract 2 years down the road. I don't think it's as far-fetched or a bad an
If
option.
you're not drafting a guy, I can't go down to Minshew level.
The
I
only-
have to be at Kirk level or better.
The only
I know,
problem
but now you're tossing money around out of your cap when you can get somebody cheaper and you can build a roster. You have a roster ready for a quarterback to come in here and thrive 2 years from now.
I like that, but I just don't think, and you guys will all mock me, I don't think Minshew's markedly better than what Hal could be.
Yeah, Minshew.
So I think he already have Hal. And
they're going to.
Minshew led his team to the playoffs last year. Should
I hear you.
have beat Houston.
I like Minshew, but I just don't think he's markedly better.
I think he's a lot better than Hal.
Okay.
A lot better.
Can you, by the way, just print me a new commercial for the 836 read? I mean, I could probably use it.
Didn't Jason just tell you where to put your drink last week?
I put it over here, but I didn't think I was going to move my arm like that.
There's always spilling something.
wildly.
I know people want success immediately, but I don't think it's a bad long-term plan. If you really need to build up this roster, if you have the patience and you
I
get
know
It's the worst roster I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're going to draft a quarterback. They're not going to go out and get Minshew or Cousins or Fields.
I don't think they are.
They're going to
doing
draft Drake May
Although
at number
Fields
2 and
is
go
still
from there.
intriguing because he's so young. And he's so gifted.
Yeah, but if you put all your eggs in the field basket, they're projecting his contract to be $283 million after.
Wow.
Really?
I don't know how you can
He
give
would
him
have to
that.
have a
That's-
bomb year.
I mean,
That's
I
after
don't know
a-
how anyone on earth could give him that right now.
It's just because it's just the cap.
Yeah, they're-
I hear what you're saying, but
He
you've
ain't
got to
getting that.
actually perform to get that.
yes, he's not going to get 283. Unless he has a bomb year. But he ain't getting 283.
All right, let's go to Michael in College Park. Michael.
So many good points, but man, the story, the prodigal son returns. Like, imagine the PR. I mean, if you're the Commander organization, you got to put butts in seats. That's a great story. It's a finger poke in the eye for Kirk with the previous owner. He could possibly, if you're thinking that maybe Sam Howell has a future, and he sits and rides the pine for 2 years under Kirk and learns how to deal with trash at his feet and all that stuff that Kirk, talked about when he was here. I just love the story around the prodigal son returns. I think that would be like top 5 in the league.
You're
It
excited
would be
for it.
so
The
entertaining.
majority don't seem to be as excited. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. Do you like the thought of the Commanders trading down? And I was seeing Jeremy Fowler said there have been teams that have contacted the Commanders about the number 2 pick. So
Of course.
whether
Yeah.
they're great offers or not remains to be seen, but there are teams who are trying to move into that number 2 spot. Would you be opposed to them trading down to get more picks to fill out the roster and then signing Kirk Cousins in free agency? 1-800-636-1067. What are your thoughts? Let's go to the phones.
All right, let's go to Antonio in
By the way,
Manassas.
I'll officially vote. I would be against that.
I am pro Kirk.
It would make me excited, but I don't think it's not a great long-term plan, obviously.
Oh, it's not a great long-term plan, but if
Short term, it's fine.
If it doesn't
but
work at the end of 3 years, then you pick another quarterback.
I'm pro
So be it.
drafting Drake May.
But if you look at these quarterbacks now and go, all right, this is the guy, you can't wait 3
Well, if
years
you're
and
in-
go.
Look, if
Yeah,
you're,
but
in
what
love
if you
with,
look at-
if you're in love with somebody at number 2 and you want to pick
Of course,
him,
you're going to take it. It's a no-brainer.
please do.
That's what I mean.
But what if you look at him and like Adam Peters did, Jaden Daniels a year ago, and goes, "That's a 5th-round pick." We're just hyping him up because there's no quarterback.
I don't. I would be
Your
surprised.
rumor is that Adam Peters said that.
I believe he said that a year ago.
I would be surprised if Adam Peters and Dan Quinn looked at this draft and went, "Yeah, we don't really like any of them."
At 2.
Right.
Right. I think I would be
Just my
surprised.
bet.
I think I would be surprised also. But I'm just throwing out possibilities. All right, Antonio.
Hello. I want him. I want Kirk Cousins. He's
want
good.
him?
Number one, yes, I want him because it's good for the ownership.
Yeah.
Okay. because he can bring him in. He's a poster boy, so it's a good start for the Commanders. And you can begin to build the team around him. He's stable. He's a veteran. He's been to big games. Maybe he hasn't won all the big ones, but he's been there. Okay. And Elizabeth, I love you, Elizabeth.
All right,
that was
thank you,
kinda weird.
Antonio.
Yeah, and you just want
Very
to
weird.
crowbar that in.
Is that like an old wrestling reference? Or is that his
I don't know.
girlfriend?
I'm not
Is
sure.
it Randy Munchowitz?
I don't know.
All right, let's go to Dustin in Annapolis.
Who knows?
A broken down Kirk Cousins is not going to save this team. Come on, man.
He's not broken.
I would run back. I would draft Marvin Harrison Jr. if I didn't like the quarterbacks, but didn't love the quarterbacks.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of busts, in the first couple picks.
Of course.
And that's a really tough one to nail. I mean, you got to pick the one out of the three that's going to make it. And you get the second pick.
Every once in a while, a few of them do
But
make
JaVale,
it.
if you want Marvin Harrison Jr. at 2, who's your quarterback? Who's throwing to him?
Well, Brissett's as good as any of the guys you're talking about. And I'd run Sam Howell back with Marvin Harrison Jr.
I would not.
See,
I think that's a horrible
that's where you
plan.
lost me, JaVale.
Yeah.
That's where you lost me.
What if they're doing a trust the process bit, though?
They're not going to run Sam Howell back.
Right, okay.
Not doing
What if they do a trust the process
You're the
bit?
biggest howler I know, and you even know that.
So a tank job this year.
Yeah, so you get all the other positions, but you're a trust the process guy. You've been through it in Philly, and you're starting to see
Yeah,
dividends.
but the quarterback crop next year isn't nearly what it's
So
made up
maybe
to
it's a
be this
3-year
year.
thing. Maybe they're looking at it and they're
Yeah, but
going,
who cares about
we
the
have
crop
so-
if you get the one?
Nobody's got 3 years to wait. Nobody's waiting 3 years for the rebuild in the NFL in 2024.
The owner has just been through it. I'm throwing cakes. I'm talking hypothetical.
I understand.
Don't take me seriously.
I don't
But
hate
I'm
it.
just
either.
saying-
If you're look, let's say the kid from Texas, Ewers, gonna be the number 1 pick next year. I have no idea, but let's say they really love him.
It could be Shedeur Sanders. It could be
or Deion Sanders kid. So
Although
they could say
somebody
that the
doesn't
crop.
mean-
Tim.
They
Hold
could say
on.
the crop stinks,
But you don't
But
know.
they might like one of those guys. I know you don't know where you're going to pick, but he said
You have
if
no
he's
idea.
trusting the process, you're
a trust the
tanking.
process guy. What if
Because
you
you're
do
going to have Howell
You
with
do
his
the
21
opposite
interceptions.
of what everybody says.
Right.
You blow off quarterback. You sign a Minshew or some trash, or you just throw out whatever. But you build the roster knowing you're going to have a top 3 pick next year.
I know you're throwing that out there, but
I know. I'm just.
So you're going to go through.
there's no way
another-
Josh Harris is
you're
going to
gonna
say, you know what, let's
intentionally-
stink again back-to-back
But
years.
we're so bad. We literally have 47 holes. We can't plug them all. We're so bad. Let's plug all the others and wait another
I
year or
just
two
think the
before
NBA is
we put-
different. Like less
is
players,
different. It
smaller
is different.
roster,
It is.
more dependent on hitting on 1 or 2 superstars.
Nobody
I don't
knows.
know.
Jaden Daniels was a 5th rounder last year at this time.
Right.
And I don't think that Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers is going to be any worse than Drake May. I mean, all people do every day is tear down Drake May and say he sucks, say he's Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Is this class good or is it not good?
Nobody knows.
We don't know. And next year's class could be could be great.
Yeah, but you don't know where you're drafting.
Well, that
No, but
that,
if you
true.
trust the
You have
process
no
guy,
idea.
we're probably going to be pretty terrible.
if
Because
you-
especially if we ignore all positions but quarterback, and we just put a plug-in guy to take a beating.
You know,
I know, but
the
Bryce Young.
perfect,
Yeah,
you know
Bryce
the
Young
perfect
2.0.
candidate for that is EB.
Named
for
Sam
trust the
Howell.
process.
If you, I mean,
Bring back Carson Wentz.
no.
they're
If you want to
not
run
gonna
it
do
back
that,
and win 3 or 4 more games in 2024, you just leave it as is and you trot out Sam Howell.
But if you've plugged,
because that's what would happen.
if you've plugged every hole in the future and you want to grab your quarterback, you're in the position to spend draft capital to try and trade up and get the guy you want to plug and play.
Right. You can also
So,
do
so
that
it
too,
really
right?
doesn't.
it
So it doesn't really
where you
matter.
finish.
Yeah. So it really doesn't matter where you're drafting. You just trade whatever you need to go get the guy you want.
Or you could really suck
Once
and
all
have
the
the
whole-
second overall pick, which they already do, and pick
I
a
mean, yeah,
quarterback there.
No, you can, of course, and I won't fault them for doing it. Take one of them; that'll be fun. But we have so many holes. I mean, we're so bad.
I'm drafting
Well, I know
Drake
that,
May number
but
2. That's
they're
who,
go-
our little analysis when we came up with the boards.
Yeah.
I do think he's just my eyes. He's a better prospect than Jaden Daniels, and I was intrigued by the Jaden Daniels, the dual threat, and I wanted to have him even number 1, but maybe I was swayed. Whatever. I think Caleb Williams number one makes sense because he was the only guy, and Kime mentioned it, when I was watching it, making consistent plays downfield with guys in his face when he was about to get crushed. Jaden Daniels had a clean pocket all the time. You're telling me he's a one-read guy? I don't know. Yeah. I'm guessing if that came from Craig Hoffman, it came from Logan Paulson, who he does the Take Command podcast
said he was in Indy, I think. He talked to a bunch of guys. So.
But Drake reminds me a little of Big Ben / Josh Allen.
That's actually a comparison that they were making. Like Big Ben, he's hard to take down.
Yeah,
he could still make plays.
And I'm swayed by his stupid
Better
left-handed.
athlete than Big Ben.
His stupid left-handed touchdown did sway me. I was like, oh, he made a left-handed touchdown pass.
All right, let's go to Chris in Edgewater. Chris, what's up, man? You're on with the Junks.
Hey, good morning, boys. How are you?
What's up?
We're good.
So, I don't think Kirk is the answer, and I'm not crazy about. I'd like to see May, but like EB was just saying, there are so many holes in this roster. If you got a broken down, beat up old car, and let's face it, we got one rusted old heap in our team. You don't start by buying a $50,000 engine for the car.
You're not putting a supercharger in that right away. You're waiting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to build it up so that it can handle it. I think building through the draft, trading back, building through the draft, getting the core of the team set, and then, if the offensive line was historically bad, and even if they are twice as good as they were last year, that's still giving up, 30 sacks, 25 sacks in the year. I don't think Kirk, with all the cap money, would I love to have Kirk and his accuracy and the given, but he's going to take up so much cap that we could be used building the other part of the team. Mm-hmm. I just think, it'd be great to have all of that stuff. If we had a defense that was defense in the midpoint and the offense was in the midpoint, yes, get the quarterback. But you just can't send a guy out there to the Lambs. If you're going to do that, you might as well put Hal out there. At least we know
the call. It sounds
if you
too
were
much like Ron.
If you were a quarterback away, if you felt like, all right, we're just a quarterback away, we're one player away from really making a run in the postseason. Maybe Pittsburgh feels like they're just a quarterback away. But you're not a quarterback.
It sounds
away.
too eerily similar to Ron's roster building version 2.0. I just can't have it. I can't have 2 or 3 years of building up the roster and then putting in the perfect quarterback. That's not the way it works in the NFL. You find the quarterback, you hit on the quarterback, and then you build in the pieces around him. Mm-hmm. It's what the Texans did.
Well, that's what they're going to do.
Now, they got lucky. I understand the Texans are an outlier. The Stroud was so good at the number 2 overall
Just be
pick.
careful, because if you draft the quarterback and he's the guy, but he gets destroyed 60 times, it just takes a beat. Forget about if he survives the season. Yeah. Just the trauma. And I saw Sam Howell disintegrate as a decision maker in the second half of the season. And I can only attribute it to just the beating and just all the pressure he was under.
Well, he
looked like a completely different player.
Well, to be fair, he also had that rap coming out of college that he would eat sacks when he didn't have to.
He did.
And it just got worse because he was behind the worst offensive line ever created by man.
But in the first half of the season, he looked like a promising player. Second half of the season, he looked like he was dead.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I think they're going to make they're going to make better decisions, especially on the offensive line. And he's not going to, whoever's playing quarterback next year isn't going to suffer the trauma that Sam Howell did in the second half.
I agree with that. Because Adam Peters,
starting from scratch.
Adam Peters isn't going to go down the road.
You got 100 weeks to.
He's not going to go down
team.
let's just pluck some old guys that played for me back in Carolina. Yeah. Bring in the Norwells and the Trey Turner types.
Right.
They're not doing that.
Peters' picks are they should be better all the way across the board. Every single pick he makes should be better than Ron's picks by a large amount, I would think.
And it's going to be a better coached roster. Better coached. This roster was not coached well last year. It's going to be better coached.
Right, because that's all that Dan Quinn is going to be focusing on is the coaching.
All right, let's go
to worried about the name or resuscitating the franchise.
All right, let's try to go quickly here. Let's go to Justin in Richmond. Hey, Justin, what's up, buddy? You're on with the Junks.
Hey, fellas, thank you very much for having me.
Yep.
I'll be brief. So I will absolutely write Adam Peters a song if he trades back, and it'll be a very happy song. I'll sing it for him and everything. I would absolutely love to get the extra trade capital. And if they absolutely must draft a QB in round 1, and I don't like it because very few of them are true top 10 picks, it would be a trade back from McCarthy. Yes, we would bring Kirk back. a la Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, and just let them work. I love J.J. McCarthy's potential, but his lack of experience bothers me a lot. So we need to let him grow slow, and we can work on the rest of the roster there. Besides, they still got to spend 80% of their cap space, and you have to also remember that these free agents have to want to come here too.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. Good call.
You know what? I don't need that much more draft capital. They got draft capital by trading away Montez Sweat and that slacker Chase Young. They got extra picks there. Got plenty of draft capital.
Let's go to Bart in Reston. Bart, what's up?
Hey, guys, I'd be in favor of it under three conditions. One is, obviously, how much is he going to cost? Two is Kirk even healthy? And three, if we do that, can we get a stud wide receiver like Marvin Harrison or potentially the kid out of Washington? And if you go that route and we bring Kirk in and we get some draft capital, obviously you have to spend that on the line. But how much money is left over for us to go out and get, a veteran offensive lineman or potentially a stud cornerback? That's kind of my thoughts on it.
If you don't draft a quarterback at 2, you can pick Marvin Harrison Jr. right there at number 2 and pair him up with Kirk Cousins. And I like your receiving core a lot.
Yeah, I do.
But
again, it's all a matter of how much you want to spend on one player.
Right.
And that you're going to spend a lot on one player.
I think it's more than that. I think it's if you go the Kirk Cousins route, it's just such a limited window.
It is.
He's too good for a period where you're going to be too bad. It just doesn't make sense.
Maybe he plays at this level for 3 or 4 more years. If you get 3 or 4 years out of Kirk Cousins at his current sort of production,
the way he plays, he's not a big runner. He gets rid of the ball
Are you
super
able
quick.
to fill the holes on the roster like you would be able to if you just drafted a quarterback and you fill those other holes because they're going to cost you money?
Yeah,
you're taking up half of your cap space with one guy, pretty much.
Let's go to JaVale Culpepper. What's up, bud?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, man.
Hey, JaVale. Good morning.
Definitely in favor of getting Kirk Cousins, man, because if you look at the probability and statistics, Kirk's probably going to be better over the next 3 or 4 seasons than any of these quarterbacks coming out in this draft over that period of time. You trade back and you get a haul like we gave up to the Rams for Robert Griffin, you definitely do it. You fill the gaps in free agency. At the holes that you have, on the defensive side, you're going to have Josh Allen out there. You're going to have Danielle Hunter. We need a middle linebacker. You're going to be able to get a Patrick Queen or a Bobby Wagner. Even though he's a little older, you'll be able to command the defense. And the coaching staff knows him from their time in Seattle.
Right.
A Devin White, who's still young, 26, 27 years old.
He's only 26, 27? Really?
Yeah.
Who?
Devin White?
Devin White.
Yeah.
And then you have,
have to
Jalen Johnson, Snead. You have Antoine Winfield Jr. You have pieces that you can get in free agency before the draft. If you could get Kirk for 3 years, $100 million, you definitely do him. And everybody who says we need to go on this 4 or 5 year plan, we can win now with Kirk Cousins. Next year, we can win with Kirk Cousins as long as the draft is good.
Right.
And then you fill around him in free agency.
All right, thank you. Everyone says, look at what the Texans did. Look at that turnaround.
Yeah.
But the Rams also showed, now they had gotten to a Super Bowl, whatever, but they also showed that they could plug in a free agent quarterback and go through free agency. I know they want to build through the draft, but, get big name guys and win the whole damn thing.
Does the tampering period start in exactly 1 week?
There's 2 different examples.
I know, but do you feel like this team just one guy away? I don't know.
No, I think they're 100 guys away.
Right.
They're
They are.
100 guys away.
Does the tampering period start in exactly 1 week? Am I right on
I'd
that?
have to look it up.
They're already cheating.
Probably.
Legal tampering period, March 11th through the 13th. Start of NFL free agency, Wednesday, March 13th.
Yeah,
Is
next
that
week.
correct?
Next week. Yeah.
Oh, we're a week away. Silly.
By the way, according to Spot Track, the market value for Kirk on his next deal is 3 years, $118 million.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm Adam Peters and I'm not in love with Drake May or Jaden Daniels, I would be willing to blow about 40% of my free agency money on an established starting quarterback.
A lot of the buzz, though, coming out of the combine, I think his name's Jeff Lowe, maybe writes for The Athletic, says a lot of the execs around the league believe the Commanders are super high on Drake May.
Right.
Who knows?
He's not the game changer, though.
No. But it falls in line with my Peters nugget that he had a 5th-round grade on Daniels a year ago.
It's possible.
And I'm sure if anybody asks them, they'll deny it.
Yep. We'll be talking about it all
week. What if
week.
the Bears are in love with Drake May?
Well, then say hello to Caleb Williams.
Right.
Oh, that would be
I'm just
awesome.
saying, it's a possibility.
800-636-1067. You want to call us to the MGM National Harbor Listener Lines. We're the Junkies. Coming right back.